another melee, this time for the TNA World title. And this time we're going to find out the same thing as we just did for the ECW title. Only now we're going to have 8 of the best former TNA alumni in this melee. And let's take a look at some of these guys. EC3, Bobby Roode, Samoa Joe, AJ Styles, the phenomenal one. As well as Eric Young, Christopher Daniels, the Fallen Angel. Of course, Samoa Joe, I think I already said that. Mr. Mr. Anderson. And EC3. I think I already said that too. So, EC3, AJ Styles, and there goes AJ Styles, first one eliminated. Guess not so phenomenal after all. So you got Mr. Anderson, Samoa Joe, and Christopher Daniels. Right now, EC3 and Eric Young duking it out, and Abyss, the Monster, and Bobby Roode. In case you're wondering why guys like Kurt Angle and some R-Truth and those guys aren't in here, it's because I'm going with the homebred guys from ECW, not the guys who were from WWE, went to TNA, and then came back or whatnot. I'm going with the homebred guys. So there you go. Granted, Anderson was in WWE, then went to TNA, but let's face it, he was TNA. As they knew what to do with him, sort of. As EC3 now lines up Samoa Joe and tries to eliminate him. The Monster Abyss beats on Bobby Roode. Bobby Roode, former not only TNA World Champion, as well as a tag team champion with his longtime running partner, Lance Storm. I'm sorry, not Lance Storm, Cowboy James Storm, and Bear Money. As EC3 stops Abyss from coming in. Eric Young stalking around. Eric Young was a phenomenal superstar, got a big push towards the end. And looks like Mr. Anderson gets rid of the Fallen Angel, Christopher Daniels, currently working with another TNA former superstar, another TNA guy, alumni, Frankie Kazarian in Bad Influence. I think they have a new group now. But regardless, I still think Christopher Daniels is one of the greatest performers ever. As Abyss, nice suplex, nice butterfly suplex, delayed on Eric Young. Samoa Joe trying to get rid of Bobby Roode. And Mr. Anderson takes on everybody. EC3 gets a break for now. Abyss throws Mr. Anderson halfway across the ring. Samoa Joe, knife edge chop to Bobby Roode. And another one. And Abyss picks up Mr. Anderson to slam him down to the mat. Eric Young taking it to EC3, and there he goes. And Eric Young was part of the alumni way before EC3 was. And now he turns his attention on Samoa Joe. The Samoan submission machine. Interesting to see if Samoa Joe wins here. Then you'd have Samoa Joe and Taz having to duke it out in the final kind of a match where we'll have to crown the greatest champion ever. As EC3 takes the walk of shame back to the locker room. Eric Young giving right hands to Bobby Roode, 2 former members of the Team Canada, going old school TNA right now. As Mr. Anderson trying to shake the cobwebs to get back into this thing. Samoa Joe and Abyss, no strangers to each other, exchanging rights, lefts, kicks, and then some. And Eric Young, right hand to Bobby Roode. Mr. Anderson with a right hand to Bobby Roode. Roode in the corner. Way before he was glorious, and Mr. Anderson says, "See you later, Bobby Roode." And now Mr. Anderson takes his attention on to Eric Young. As Samoa Joe and Abyss still in the ring. Very large men. Trying to get rid of one of those guys would be difficult. as Eric Young and Mr. Anderson duke it out. Those are your final four. You'd also be surprised to know that Ron the Truth Killings is also a former TNA alumni champion. You know him better now as R-Truth, as Mr. Anderson gets rid of Eric Young. And now it's come down to Mr. Anderson, Samoa Joe, and Abyss. And now Abyss and Mr. Anderson working together to get rid of Samoa and Mr. Machine. And there goes Samoa Joe, and it's down now to Mr. Anderson and Abyss. And Abyss picks up Mr. Anderson like he's nothing, and a big slam to the mat. Samoa Joe's got eggs on his face. I think he's a little upset about that. And now Abyss looking at it. We're going for a body slam. Mr. Anderson said, I don't think so. Shoulder block takes him down, and then some. Uh-oh. And Abyss, oh yeah. Abyss with that strength got Mr. Anderson up, and out he goes. And Abyss, the beast, the monster, has been unleashed. And he is going to rise, and we'll see him later on for TNA. Let's get the official word from the official, though.
Here is your winner and new total non-stop action undisputed world's heavyweight champion, the Monster A-Boss.
And Abyss has picked it up, the victory, and is now the champion representing TNA. All right, folks, we're going to go to WCW next. Let's find out which 8 superstars represent and who will be crowned champion.